Well, welcome and good morning. This is the Internet Business Blueprint podcast, simulcast on Ustream at www.jamesholmes.tv. Our podcast channel is at www.jamesholmesradio.com. And I want to welcome you to this morning's program. We're here every weekday, Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And our subject is very simple. How do we enable you, empower you, equip you to create a successful business online? And we tend to talk a lot about basically four basic business models in doing that. We talk about affiliate marketing, information product marketing, business opportunities online, and traditional network marketing. And we've been going through a series the last week. It'll be a total of 11 parts when we're done. This is part 4. And it's centered on the work of Raymond Hollywell in his book, Working with the Law, as I've come to discover that work in going through the study of the 11 Forgotten Laws, which is a program put together by Bob Proctor and Mary Morrissey. Before we get underway with today's training, I wanted to make sure that you're aware of exactly how to connect with me. If there's anything that you hear on this episode, any of the past episodes that you've maybe listened to by way of recording, the best place to connect with me is on my primary blog. And you can find me there at www.askjamesholmes.com. And from there, you'll be able to connect with me. A couple things that I'm offering there right now that are somewhat special that I want to make you aware of. The first thing is that I am going to be conducting 30-minute complimentary consultations. These are private one-on-one 30-minute coaching sessions to discuss anything related at all to your business. So if you are currently online and are running into some challenges, or if you have a great idea that you want to kind of just mastermind about, if you've got questions about starting a business, you're not online yet but you'd like to do that, or anything at all related to your business, whether it's recommendation of a resource, like say vetting out ideas, these 30-minute consultations I think can be very valuable. And the way that you set one of those up for yourself would just simply be go to my blog at www.askjamesholmes.com. In the upper right-hand corner there, you'll see a section where it's titled Request a 30-Minute Consultation with James. And there's a button there that says Book Now. If you click on that Book Now button, that'll take you to my online calendar, and all the available time slots will be shown there. And simply pick the time that works for you and put in your name, email address, and phone number, and then I'll call you at the appointed time, and we'll spend 30 minutes really going through and understanding what your goals and objectives are, where you're at right now, and talk about things that will help you accomplish what you're setting out to accomplish. So I hope you take advantage of that. So that's number one. The second thing is that I've created a vault, a product vault, that has about $1,000 worth of value in terms of the products that are in there. It's everything from special reports, ebooks, software programs, MP3 audio files, and video training. And the original idea for this was that I was giving that out to my existing list. I decided to expand that through the month of August and make that available to anyone that would want to go ahead and just opt in and request it. So when you go to that blog, the same blog, askjamesholmes.com, you'll see a picture of a vault and then a place for you to enter your email address and name. And by doing that, you'll receive a confirmation email right away, and you'll get access to the vault. And you can go in there and download any of the products that you find that would help you in your business. And that's going to be available through the month of August. And so it's not too late to jump on board and get involved in that. There's some really great things that are included in that I think will really help you. So that's that. In terms of today's training and the training we've been doing for the last week or so, like I say, this is part 4 of an 11-part series based on the 11 volume work of Bob Proctor and Mary Morrissey called The 11 Forgotten Laws. And if you want to pick up the actual course itself, if you just go back to my blog here again and look for any of the posts that relate to working with the law, there's a summary post for each of the programs we've had in relation to this series. And at the conclusion of each of those blog posts, I have noted the links to get a special discount on the Working with the Law 11 Forgotten Laws course. And so if you just click on those links, it'll take you to the sales page for that particular product. And like I say, it's got a really great price, a lot of bonuses, and then also a special offer that you can take advantage of as well. So if you want to pick up the course itself, that's the place to do it. So let's do a quick recap of where we are to date. The first lesson we talked about the law of thinking. And the basic concept of the law of thinking is that thoughts become things. And so you want to be really clear, and I would even say in some cases careful about what you're thinking about. You know, you've heard me say before that your current results are tied to your current most dominant and predominant thoughts. And so if you're really in a position in your business where you're trying to create your success, if perhaps you're looking to add and recruit members to your team, you're looking to increase volume of sales. If you're in direct sales business, you're looking to find new customers, new clients, new people to partner with. And you want to be really careful as you go along your way in your thought process, not only about your business and what you hope to accomplish in your business, but also as you view yourself in terms of if you view your situation in a very positive way, or if you're carrying around any baggage with you, things that just don't serve you. And so the whole idea behind the law of thinking is to recognize that your thoughts become your reality. And so you want to be really careful about what you think about and make sure that everything you're thinking about is supporting what you're seeking to accomplish. It's really critical. So that's number one, law number one. Law number two, we talked about the law of supply. And the concept there is that there's a limitless supply of whatever is required to help you accomplish your objective. So if you're, again, going back to the same example, if you're looking to create results in your business along the lines of recruiting more people to your team, well, those people already exist. Every potential member of your team, everyone that you need to help you achieve your objective already exists. They're already out there. So your job is not to be concerned about whether or not there's an ample supply. So in other words, being in a kind of a scarcity mindset. Your job is just to figure out how to get your message to those prospects, to create the awareness, and how to attract those individuals to you, which is part of what we've been talking about for the last week, is how to create that attraction, how to become that magnet for what you're looking to accomplish. So if you understand that regardless if it's a recruiting issue with prospects, whether it's a sales issue in terms of trying to increase volume within your business, whether it's finding funding for a project you're working on, whether it's finding a resource or a professional that can help you with a particular project you're working on, whatever it is you're looking to accomplish, there is an ample supply. There's no scarcity in anything you need to bring about every result you're looking for. I would even challenge perhaps your way of thinking to even suggest that even things that are not yet created, so we go back to the example of Thomas Edison and the light bulb, that everything he needed to create that light bulb already existed, even though the idea of the light bulb wasn't yet manifest. It was an idea. But the materials that he needed, the technology that he needed, it already existed in its parts. And Edison's job was simply to go through the process of trial and error, through experiment and prototype, to bring together those materials to manifest the result of what his idea was, what he was thinking about. And it's the exact same thing for you and your business. So it's a function of being very clear about what you want, and then recognizing there's no scarcity, there's no limit to the supply that's out there waiting for you to draw into yourself in order to accomplish what you're setting out to accomplish. The third law that we covered, and this was yesterday, was the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is probably of the 11, the one that's most known. And the primary reason for that knowledge or awareness is that the film The Secret and the book The Secret popularized the law of attraction. But the reality is the law of attraction is ancient. It goes back to just the earliest of documented time. And it's also biblical. And there are several biblical references. And sometime, it might be a good idea to maybe even do a podcast episode strictly on that point. That there are many references that relate to the law of attraction. So the law of attraction is not a religion. It's not a cult. It's not a, some type of a esoteric idea. It really is a fundamental truth, a fundamental universal law that every one of us have the ability to tap into and to put into action in a proactive way, in a meaningful way. The fact is that the law of attraction is working all the time with or without our participation consciously. So even though you may think that if you're not tuned into the law of attraction, or even if you're, doubtful or skeptical about the concept, it's already at work without you. And you're just not engaging in it and working with it. And so part of the whole objective of this series of lessons as it relates to your business and life is to help you understand how to become at a point and in a place for yourself where you can actually be working with the law to bring about the results that you're looking to create in your life and in your business. The key principles we talked about yesterday related to the law of attraction were that you need to be really clear about what you want, and you need to be consistent in asking for exactly what you want and be very specific. And then, as we talked about at great detail, you have to really have a heart of expectation that you're going to get what you want. In other words, you can call it faith. You can call it living with expectation. That although you don't see it yet, it's not manifest yet, you know with all certainty in your heart that it's going to come to pass. And so those are the 3 steps of engaging. What do you want? Asking, and then having the expectation that it's going to be provided to you. The thing I love about the law of attraction that I've, time and time again, in many examples, whether it's in my personal life, in my business life, that I have recognized that when I'm really clear on what I want, when I, in my time of prayer, ask for what I want, and I keep my thoughts focused very clearly, holding that ideal in mind, that suddenly the people, the resources, and the opportunities come into my life. They're attracted into my life to accomplish whatever the goals are that I have set out. And it's happened to me countless times. And so my belief is very strong in the fact that this is a very valid principle and something that you can really use to create a lot of power and results in your business and life. So again, this is all from Raymond Hollywell's work, Working with the Law. And today we're at law number 4, which is the law of receiving. And the law of receiving has a number of key principles that we're going to explore. The underlying principle, the law of receiving, is actually beginning with giving. And giving's an interesting thing, and probably the best giving story that I have that I can relate to when I think about how this law functions is there were several years ago, and this maybe goes back 11, maybe 12 years ago, going through a transition in my life. I found myself really feeling like I was being preoccupied with the challenge of finances. That for some reason that just seemed to be a reoccurring theme that was carrying itself out and playing itself out consistently, which really hadn't necessarily been my reality. And what I decided to do was to become a lot more committed and consistent with my tithing. So in other words, giving 10% of everything that I was earning to my church. Now on the surface, you might say, well, that's no big deal. Lots of people tithe. It's something that many of us were grown up, were taught that we needed to do. But if you look a little bit further, this is where I think the discipline or the lesson was for me and why it created the results that it did. And that was that I was in a position, as I said, where I was being challenged in a lot of areas around finance. And so when you're already in a position where you may not have what you need, so you've got some scarcity going on, it doesn't seem natural that you would take 10% of what is already a limited resource or a resource that isn't sufficient, and that you would, pledge that away consistently through tithing. In other words, there's that natural, hoarding mentality or scarcity mindset that would have you say, well, I'll tithe when things get better. I need this extra, $400 or $500 or whatever it would have been. So going through that process of being really just disciplined and saying, I'm going to, tithe anyway, and I'm going to give that 10% anyway, ended up resulting in things starting to fall back into place financially. So suddenly, in that time I was, full-time working as a mortgage banker. I had no real awareness of internet marketing as I do today. I was certainly, back as early as 1995, using the internet, but not in a serious way as it relates to the things I'm doing now. So I was primarily in the traditional brick and mortar mortgage banking business. And suddenly, a new client would show up, or a new realtor would see an ad that I had and call, and we'd engage in a relationship to begin, receiving that realtor's referrals. Or I'd have a past client call and have a need that they had, and they dug up my number and called me back to have me help them with a current situation. And suddenly my business was once again experiencing prosperity. And so the whole idea of being disciplined under that law of receiving, that first you have to be willing to give, really played itself out. Now, going back then, I wasn't aware of these laws, and so it wasn't something that I even knew or understood how it was working. All I knew is that it was working. And that was done also in conjunction with being very prayerful about it, really recognizing that, my role as a business person was to become a steward of resources, and that, what I was going to pledge to do is just become a very good steward of whatever abundance that God chose to give me. And so I believe that along with the idea of tithing and showing that discipline, so that tithing was the action behind my prayer, resulted in things really starting to fall back into place, and had led to, a couple of years later, the best year I'd ever had in terms of a single year of creating commissions in my business. So it's a very powerful thing. So the first step in receiving is actually giving. Now, what is giving? I gave you an example of tithing, so a monetary gift, but it goes far beyond that. You can give in terms of your time and your knowledge. Spending 30 minutes a day with you and doing this program in a way that is not set up to be a big advertising exercise, where you're not being promoted into an opportunity or recruited into an opportunity on every podcast, where I'm really here 5 days a week for 30 minutes a day giving. That's really the intention behind it. So you can give your knowledge, and you can give your resources in terms of your current business. If you've got a situation where, depending upon the type of business you're in, that you're able to help other people by donating part of whatever it is you do, that's another great way to give. So it can be monetary, it can be giving of your knowledge, it can be giving of your industry in terms of sharing what it is in your business, and certainly giving of your talents. And so we all have different talents in life, right? And so you can definitely find a place to give to another person the display of your talent. And so that's a very powerful way to give as well. Tithing is probably the thing that most people are familiar with. But if you take that same idea, the tithing idea, giving up a portion of what you create or what you earn, and apply it to really any other thing you could think of as it relates to giving to people, time, talents, etc., you'll be in the active stage of making this particular law of receiving come alive and become very real for you. The process of receiving is activated through prayer. So I mentioned in my story that one of the things that I did, my action was tithing, but the basis of my action was praying, being very clear about what I wanted. What I was praying for was just some consistency in finances and for good stewardship, to understand and recognize what that meant and what it would look like if I was being a good steward. That was what I was praying about. My action was tithing. And so in conjunction, those two things created and set me up to be in a position to receive. So if prayer is what activates this law, then what you want to do is make sure you're very specific. And I've said that, a few times today, and I certainly said it last week, that it's really important to be very clear about what it is that you want. It can't be just a vague idea. You can't say, I want to create a successful business, because there's no definition, there's no detail in that request. So what does that mean? I want to create a successful business. That's number one, so be specific. Number two is you need to do your part. You need to put action behind that request. And so again, you're setting up for receiving, and the way you do that is by giving. So the action you want to take in step number two is doing your part to find ways to give of yourself. And again, whether it's monetarily, which is great, there are plenty of needs out there that you can help to address by giving financially, or it may just be related to your time. There are people out there, whether it's in a mentorship situation, budding entrepreneurs, young people that are disadvantaged, whatever the situation is, whatever the circumstances are that fall in line with your values and your heart and your passion, find a place to give of yourself. So that's critical. The third thing you want to do is make sure that you're thankful. And this is really critical. Even if you're at a place right now where you don't have the results that you're looking for, be thankful for what you have. So if your goal is to create, and let's just use a hypothetical number, let's say you want to create $20,000 a month in income in your business funnel. And let's say you're at 5. Be thankful for the 5. Be grateful for the 5 and be a good steward of the 5. And the idea is then you're going to be able to look forward to the realization of the long-term goal, but be thankful for what you have today. If you're in the process of building a business and you're needing to attract more clients, you don't have the number of clients you need in your business to meet your goals today. Be thankful for the clients that you do have. So in being thankful today, you're setting yourself up to receive the abundance of clients in the future. It's having the heart of gratitude. So that's number 3, be thankful. Number 4 is taking action. So again, we go back to my story I told a little bit ago, which is the whole idea of tithing. And tithing is an act that you're putting behind the thought you put into a prayer. And so in taking action, it could be very, very clear on a business goal you have. It could be going through the process of giving of yourself, giving of your talents, giving of your resources. So that's the action behind that goal or that desire that you're putting out there with clarity. And then you're taking the action, which is actually doing that thing. It's that giving part of the process that sets you up to receive. So that's number 4, and that's taking action. Number 5, and this is the most critical thought of all, and that is to expect to receive. A lot of times what happens that catches us up in falling short of accomplishing a goal or catches us short in being able to really embrace what we attract to ourselves is having the expectation that it's going to come to pass. And if you are very clear about what it is you're setting out to accomplish, if you take the action necessary to really put life and breathe life into it, you should then expect that it's going to come to pass, and don't be surprised if it does come. You should be surprised if it doesn't come. But I know that from my own coaching and mentoring sessions that I have people that I work with that don't expect to win. They don't expect to find that new person to come into their business. They don't expect to close that sale. They're not expecting that growth in their income. They're wishing for it. They're hoping that it happens, but they're not expecting it. And what I'm saying to you is that it's really critical as the 5th step in this process is that you really expect for it to happen. And that will be something that will become very powerful in drawing those resources to yourself to accomplish that goal that you've set. So I want to read to you a quote that comes from Raymond Hollywell's work. And it talks about giving. And of course, like I say, that is kind of the starting point. So today's law was the law of receiving. And how do we engage the law of receiving? We engage it by giving. And what Hollywell said in his book was giving, which is the first or fundamental law of life, is the first law of all creation. The attitude of getting is the law of life in a congested state or in repressed action. As long as getting dominates a mind, that mind is in a paralyzed condition, being limited in its action in accord with the fundamental law of creation. So the thought behind that statement that Hollywell offers here is that you must go about your day-to-day life, and we're speaking primarily in your business, but of course all this stuff is interwoven with your life and your relationships. It's somewhat inseparable, is that you don't want to go about with the idea and an eye set on just getting. The getting will come, the receiving will come, which is a much more positive way of saying it, as a result of your giving. So if you're demonstrating your talents and giving to other people, you're going to be rewarded. Think back to a lesson that I taught a couple of weeks ago about how entrepreneurs are rewarded. You're rewarded by the problems you solve first, and secondly, by the value you contribute to others. And so someone recognizes the value and they're willing to compensate you based on that value. That's how entrepreneurs are rewarded. So in the process of giving, in the process of solving problems, in the process of adding value to other people, you will be rewarded. Your compensation will come. Your getting will happen. Your receiving will take place. And so it's not necessary to focus strictly on the getting. And as Hollywell states, it kind of sets you up in this ideal of being set up for struggle because you're then in a paralyzed state. We talked about prayer in the beginning, and think about prayer as focus in terms of a focused concentration. So if I'm sitting down and being really clear on what I want to create, what I want to draw into myself, and I'm doing that in a prayerful way, I'm really blocking out distractions, and I'm really being clear in my thoughts. And that's one of the key components of meditation or prayer, is finding clarity and being really clear about what it is you're asking for. So if you can put these into action in your business, it looks something like this: that you're taking action, working with the laws, that you're being very clear, number 2, about what you want, and that you're going to document that. You're going to actually put that down in writing. That number 3, you make a practice of giving in your business and in your life. Number 4, that you expect to receive. And by expecting to receive, you're going to attract what you need in terms of people, resources, and opportunities to bring about what you're seeking to create in your life. And number 5, you're going to teach these principles to others as you go through your day. So if you have coworkers, people that you mentor with, friends, family members, people that you care about, these principles, if you can share them with others, it's an act of giving. It's another way of you being able to give to other people. And can you imagine how powerful your associations will be if you can share these principles with other people and they agree to put them into practice? So it makes your company stronger, it makes your relationships stronger, it makes your associations stronger, and moves all of you in unison towards living very powerful lives. So they're very, very powerful concepts. So tomorrow we're going to continue. This was the 4th in a total of 11 laws. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the law of increase. And if you're interested in seeing the recording of this on my vStream, if you go to my blog at www.askjamesholmes.com, the video from this morning's session will be up a little bit later today. And you can also watch the prior 3 lessons in this series from that blog page as well. So with that being said, I want to thank you again for being with me. We'll be back here tomorrow at our regular time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, for the Internet Business Blueprint podcast, now being simulcast on Ustream at jamesholmes.tv. Thank you for being with me, and I'll look forward to being with you again tomorrow. I wish for you a very blessed day.